Hello, welcome back to the channel and crazy days we are living right now with the release of Unreal Engine 5. And I've been checking and rechecking the documentation, watching all the videos and everything. And I would want to go, on a video explaining, all the new things and all the cool things, but I'm more of a fix, guy. I want to alleviate some of the strange things that could happen. And I believe that the central pivot point of Unreal Engine 5 is right now is Nanite. Nanite is great, believe me. Nanite is so clever into what they made of it. If you don't know what it is, so Nanite is a virtualized geometry, meaning that whatever we are used to work with, like this card right here, that is a mesh, and that you can go and watch, in the wireframe, all the triangles and all that stuff. Well, that is no longer the case. What we're going to work with. So we are going to work with procedural generated at runtime on the fly meshes, virtual geometry. So how does that looks? All right, so let's jump into the view modes and we're going to change it to Nanite visualization overview. And this is more like what you are going to see. So this is a very good example, right? So as you see, this is a mesh prepared for real time. So it doesn't have like many triangles. This was, the old school way of doing things. But as you see, you're going to have your triangles and then you're going to have your clusters. And clusters, let me show you in this one. This is a very healthy Nanite ready, to say the least. Because now you see, if you get real close, you're going to have, all these nice triangles that, hold the shape of this thing. But then you have the clusters, and the clusters are the one that have the boundaries. And if you look away of it, now that all those triangles that were inside that cluster are not being rendered. So now, in the old times, if you look at this little corner of this mesh, this whole mesh was going to get loaded. Now you're only going to load, these two clusters and only those triangles that are right there. And how does Unreal knows when you turn around your camera fast? Well, that is because all these clusters has micro boundaries, and now Unreal will know that they're going to be loaded, and they are going to be loaded before you look around. So it's pretty amazing what Nanite can do. And Nanite works well with Lumen and with temporal super resolution and with virtual shadow maps. So it's like the glue that holds everything together. So if right now you're going to start, working on understanding how to create good meshes and good content from Unreal Engine 5, you really need to know how Nanite work. So let's fix it, shall we? All right, so first thing, this is a very, very old, like if we go right here, so this is a very, very old piece of mesh that is from an old content called the Soul Cave. So this has like not many polygons. This was made, for the time where you really needed you really need things to be very light. So it will convert to Nanite, very well. If you double click on the asset on the actor, and then you simply hit enable Nanite and hit apply changes, you should have, your Nanite virtualized geometry already working in your scene. But as you see, triangle wise is very good, but cluster wise is really not that good. All right. So that means that we must make this a little bit better, because this, let me show you, let me drop this down. So this right here is the overdraw windows, and this is our enemy. if we can provide Unreal with less overdraw, the renders are going to be better and everything, will function a lot more optimal. And to show you, for example, as you see, because it doesn't have enough clusters, it will try to load almost everything, behind what is being rendered. So in truly, this thing is rendering like almost everything from inside. And if you come in, you're going to see that, yeah, there is light, coming in. So the lumen is being calculated inside. So this is not like the best way to do it. So this is where we need to ask ourselves, is better? If it's more better, are more polygons, going to solve this? Well, let's check it. I'm going to grab this little stone here and I'm going to my modeling mode and I'm going to use the remesh tool. And this remesh will allow me to preserve all my UVs, but now I'm going to have a tighter and more, dense mesh. And I could even go higher, like I could, get crazy with it. And let's see if this will make everything better. Now, cool thing is that now if you try to look this on, try to, see if this rock is in the lumen scene, is in the nanite scene, it's not. And that is because when you're using the tools, it will revert back to its original mesh. And as soon as I hit accept, now the nanite was recreated, and wherever I had this rock, now you can see that it is right there. All right, now let's check the overdraw of this. You see that it's much better. We're still getting a little bit of overdraw, and that is because at glancing nanite, it's still not clever enough to cool things appropriately, but at least you're not rendering the whole thing. So maybe let me hit undo, and that should take this rock as it was before. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, all these rocks and I'm going to duplicate them right here. All right. So we can watch it, side by side. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a copy of this rock. I'm going to see where you are. I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate. And now I'm going to bring this one out here. And I'm going to take like everything from this bunch of rocks to be up to here, I believe. All right. And I'm going to right click and go replace actor with the new rock that I just created. And now if I do what I did to just, a moment ago on this one, if I go, save the asset, and now I go and where are you? Right here, remesh with 50,000. That's all right. Go ahead. So it's incredible density into this thing. Now let's check how the overdraw is much better on this side than on this side. This side doesn't have enough clusters to work with, so it's rendering everything. All right, on this side you have a little bit of of self culling or occlusion culling working, and that is going to be a lot more optimal. All right, so this is where I can show you that sometimes more is better. All right, now let's check another thing about nanite, and that is that not always you can get with adding more geometry. So in this case, for example, we have all these bottles. This for the most part is a very good transition to like as a nanite mesh. But if you look at this way, you're going to see that it doesn't have enough geometry on the bottles to start cooling what is behind them, right? So let's try to maybe subdivide. And I'm going to throw 2 subdivides in. So I'm creating more geometry. And that should help Nanite, right? But as you see, it did help a little bit. It has more opportunity to call, what is behind it. But you're going to have like the tools, the modeling tools are maybe not completely perfect, at the UV side. So this one converted well, this side not converted very well. So I'm going to undo that. As you see, everything came back to normal. And so you cannot get away with, doing that with the modeling tool. So a little bit of redraw in this case, or overdraw, it's going to be okay. Now the next, it's going to be this green park mesh right here. So I'm going to select it, double click on it, and I'm going to convert it to Nanite. And let's see what happens. In the past, in preview 2, you were going to see like the whole thing was not converting. Now what's not going to convert, it's only, the part of the mesh that is non-opaque. So in this case, it's going to be this foot stall glass. So if I double click on this glass, you can see that, yeah, it is set to be translucent. So at any point, if you change this to opaque, you're going to see that if I save and I go back here, it should at some point very soon, will you? Right? It's opaque. It's still not working. Maybe it's because it's two-sided. I don't think so. Oh, well. So if you cannot, let me show you what you can do. All right, I'm going to set this as it was, all right, as it is, and hide this. If you at any point, assigned another shader that is not opaque on this part, this is going to be solved. So let's go maybe to content and look for materials, and I should have a material appropriate here. Maybe this one should work. And as you see, bam, now we have everything working as a nanite, right? And you're not going to have that error, that rendering error. So this might be a way to fix it. Another way to fix it could be, let's do one thing. Let's save this, close this up, and let's take this and revert it to how it was with the glass, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the card, and I'm going to go tree select, and I'm going to choose a little smaller size of a brush. And here in selection mode, I'm going to change it to by UV island. No, it's going to be angle, all within angle, this one right here. So now I can select this and this one and this one, and believe it or not, this thing is two-sided, so I need to also select this one, and this one. I mean, it's not two-sided, it has both sides of the mesh, all right? Both sides of the glass. Now that I have this here, I can extract it, all right? And that is called separate. Now I'm going to hit OK. And voila, it is done. Now you have 2 different meshes. Let me show you. Let me close this and let's go and see. All right, so now if I go where this part is, you're going to see that it doesn't have a glass anymore. All right, the glass is not there. And you can have the glass in a separate mesh. So if I go up here, I'm guessing it is, all right, I could check here and show me where you are. So it saved it in the content. I can save it out, and now it's there. So if you want a fast fix, all right, the only this will work. But the only thing is now you're going to have a little bit of a scene that is not nanite, but is, you know, rendering correctly. So you can make a little bit of a sacrifice, and that, you know, it's not going to do much, you know, harm. All right. So there is always the possibility until nanite works with non-opaque surface. This is, you know, your base choice. Now, this is good when you have like only one of these things parked somewhere. But what if you have the same deal with this lamp? So I just converted it to nanite and the glass is not converting. But the thing is that you have like a couple of them. So you can do exactly the same thing. Let me show you. I could pick this, show me where you are. And I did separate it, you know, the post and the glass. So now I can drop it here. And if I put it side to side, you're going to see that, yep, it's working. This one has a true nanite or a correct nanite, but this one will have, you know, a missing part that is going to be a non-nanite mesh, but with the translucency, and the rest is going to be nanite, right? Because everything is best with nanite. So whatever you can convert to nanite, it's going to be better, right? Now, the thing is that if you have this, now you have two pieces, and let me close this so I can show you. Now you have two pieces, right? And if you want this, you know, to be populated or move around, it's going to be like a mess. You could, you know, take this, nest it inside, and now you could move it around. But then if you want to, you know, duplicate it, then it's going to only duplicate this one and not the whole thing. So the most easy way that you can make this work is to create a component, and this will work. You can select, you know, your glassless nanite working actor, and you can add inside that actor a new component. So I can select the lamp, go add, and go add me a new static mesh with the SM lamppost. And that's it. Now you have one actor with two static components in it, and this is working. And now you can take this, you know, and duplicate it, select the lamppost and duplicate it, and now it will duplicate with the glass. All right, and in these terms, I want to do one last thing, and that is one other thing that nanite is not being compliant for, and that is two-sided materials. So how can we fix that? Well, in this case, let's see what happens. So let's watch our nanite scene. All right. So as you see, neither the floor or the background is a nanite surface. All right. It's a nanite virtualized geometry. So let's check what happens with this floor. So if I select this floor, double click, and I enable nanite and hit apply, wow, there's something really wrong with this. And what is happening here is that nanite is not compatible with double-sided materials. But here is where you can start, you know, checking if you really need that double-sided materials. In the case of this disk, this floor, it really doesn't need, it has a back side, right? So maybe, you know, every time that you can duplicate your material instances and create like a copy of it in which you can go shading model, no, sorry, two-sided, and turn off, you know, the two-sidedness of the material. And we could do the same with the Chrome, right? We could open the Chrome and select it to be not double-sided, and that's it. Now, something that never need the double-sidedness, it's Cure. Now it could be a proper nanite geometry. But what will happen with this backplate here. So let's double click on it and let's convert it and see, what happens. So it seems the chrome did work, but this other material did not. So we are going to also convert this one into a, one-sided, and this will allow me to, have my proper nanite surface. Okay, but it won't work, two-sided. But there are ways to fix this also. So what we can do is take our surface, go again to our modeling tools, and there is a fill hole, this one right here. So the fill hole tool works by selecting the edges of the hole that you want to fill up, and then I guess in this you have different algorithms, but in this case minimal works perfect. All you need to do now is to hit accept, and it looks pretty good. If you have any issues, all right, with the fill tool not working very well, what you can do is to select the thing that you just filled and go to attributes. The attributes is around where are you? Right here, attribute editor, and you could reset hard normals, and this should fix a couple of issues. All right, so now if I hit complete and I go back to my select, you can see that I have a full nanite scene working. All right, so even though this is not very optimal, that you can change it, that there are things that we're not going to be able to fix, there are things that we are going to be able to fix once, and there are things that we can make better and repeatable. And in the end, this is what we want. We want a lot of clusters. This is a very healthy piece of nanite. This converted very well. So as you see, it has all its triangles, it has all those clusters, and it has almost no redraw, no overdraw. And just to show you one thing, if we go down a little bit, you're going to see that we have one polygon overdraw here. And if we look at the side, yeah, this thing has internal faces. But just because, nanite doesn't work two-sided, if you look at, from downwards, it's going to work perfectly. So it doesn't matter if you have internal faces, if there are, if the normal is not facing, the outside, it will work perfectly. All right, well, with that said, I'm going to just throw out a reminder that tomorrow we are going to, at 7:30, we are going to do a teaser of our Unreal Engine 5 workshop that is going to start on the 9th, Saturday. So tomorrow it's going to be free. If you want to come, if you want, we're going to talk about, what we're going to cover on the webinar, on the workshop. And we could talk a lot, about Unreal Engine 5, everything good with it, everything that is, in the works, and what is going to come around the corner. So I'll be waiting for all of you there, and you know the drill. Be good. Love you all, and see you soon. Bye-bye.